Good evening, everyone. We will now begin the evening service of the Miroku Association, expressing our gratitude to God and Meishu-sama. Protection received while participating in the construction of paradise on earth. Amatsu-Norito and Miroku Prayer. Taka amahara ni kamuzumarimasu. Kamuromi kamuromi no mikoto mochite. Sumemi oya kamurizana. Tsukushi no rimuka no tachihana no Odo no ahagi harani misogi arai damo utoki ni narimaseru arai Amitachi moro moro no magagoto tsumike gare o arai tamae kiyome tamae tomao sugoto no yoshi o amatsu kami kunitsu kami yao yorozu no kami tachi tomo ni ame no fuji koma no mi furitate te kikoshi meseto kashikomi mo maosu miroku o mamori tamae saki hae tamae miroku o mikami mamori tamae saki hae tamae Oshie miyoya nushi no kami mamori tamae saki hae tamae Oshie miyoya nushi no kami mamori tamae saki hae tamae Gam nagara tamachi haemase. Gam nagara tamachi haemase. Great God of light, creator and giver of all life, in accordance with your divine will, the long age of night draws to an end. Your radiant divine light more brilliantly, awakens the dawn of the glorious age of light, a time long awaited by all humanity. We thank you for guiding us to your divine plan and for the privilege of channeling and receiving Johrei. May our spirits and bodies be illuminated and purified as we live your truth given to us by Meishu-sama. Make us pure and effective instruments of your divine light, so that we may serve you and all those with whom we come in contact. May paradise on earth be realized, with health, peace, and prosperity, a reality in our lives. Great God of light, bless and protect us. Radiate our souls with your divine light, so that we may truly become instruments of your great plan. Please be seated. We will now group Johrei.
God, Meishu-sama, bless you.
Johrei is now concluded. We will now listen to some teachings. Righteousness. I have come to the realization that those who trust God and live each day leaning upon the staff of love have nothing to fear in this world. Only those who live life virtuously and have clear consciences are not afraid of what others think or say, for they know they are loved by God. Even if the path is narrow and obstructed by dark forces, we will proceed humbly and obediently according to God's will. I feel the surest way to judge the character of an individual is by learning how much or how little sense of righteousness he or she has. A sense of righteousness is, as it were, the backbone of a human being. With little sense of righteousness is like a jellyfish without a backbone. Such a person is undependable, so we cannot feel safe. In dealing with any problem, we should first ask ourselves whether a particular solution is right or wrong. If you have it is not right, you should unflinchingly resist it with all your moral strength. If you live life with this principle, even though you may temporarily experience difficulty, in the long run, everything will work out for the best. In whatever situation you may find yourself, it is best and most pleasant to keep on the right path at all times, doing things openly and honestly without fear. People with that kind of character can be the pillars of the world and the guardians of righteousness. It is through the strength of such individuals that a wholesome society can be developed. For God always stands by those who are righteous and just.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining this evening service of the Miroku Association headquarters. Today, I have this faith experience I would like to share with you. Is from Estela Maria Marcela Uliarte Garcia, simply known as Marcela. She's from Chile. Marcela is from Argentina and the mother of 4 children and has lived in Chile for more than 30 years. 2020, in the midst of a great purification with the health of her older son, in her quest to help him, she contacted her ex-brother-in-law who lives in Costa Rica. Marcela asked if he knew someone who could help, and he mentioned to a friend that he knew that he was doing something, but he didn't know what. So he passed Marcela the contact of this friend, who in turn passed to her the contact of the Johrei minister, telling Marcella that he could help her with Johrei. She had never heard of Johrei, but she immediately got in touch with the minister. And due to her desperation, he was very kind and offered her a visit to her home as they were undergoing quarantine. That was in November of last year. Before continuing, she would like to mention about the purification of her son at that time. He's 21 years old, and until he was 18 years old, he led a normal life, but from then on, he began to live in hell with confusing diagnoses. 2 years ago, he began having psychotic outbreaks. He had constant delusions, and his psychiatrist wanted to admit, since they had not yet finished paying for the last hospitalization, that only served to make her son angrier. When the minister arrived at her house, he offered Johrei to her son, who listened attentively that it was the light of God, and he not want to receive it. But Marcella did. She had just had a burn on her right wrist, and when she received it, she felt fire burning her hand. She physically felt the heat during the Johrei channeling. As they were in quarantine and due to his trip, the minister guided her to attend the online morning and evening services of our church headquarters in Brazil. The minister taught her the correct posture and mental attitude with which she should receive Johrei. From that day on, she began to receive it twice, in the morning and in the afternoon. She really likes listening to the teachings and the faith experiences, and she constantly visualized that one day she was going to share a faith experience of her own. In addition, she was guided to call Meishu-sama's name in moments of crisis, and that through her search for spiritual evolution, her son would be purifying by the spiritual cords that connect them. After 2 weeks of attending the daily services, her son had a very deep crisis, and at 3 in the morning, she called the minister, who told her to ask Meishu-sama to wrap her son in his light, and so she did. He calmed down, but 2 days later, she had to admit him to the hospital. As she mentioned in the beginning, these last 4 years they had been living in hell, did not have money to admit him, and she made the confident decision that everything was in the hands of God and Meishu-sama. Throughout the month of January, they were distressed to get the money to cover the costs of the clinic. That amount reached the sum of $10,000, and there were no more line of credit since they were still finishing paying for his previous treatment. She attended without fail to our online and morning and evening services. The first blessing she received was that a person who was a therapist voluntarily transferred money to her as a gift without having asked, so that she could be able to go through the month of January. And at the end of the month, she received a bonus that allowed her to pay almost the entirety of his treatment. They only needed to cover the last month, truly a miracle. In addition to having reached a proper diagnosis and treatment, her son has permission to leave the rehabilitation center with a new posture of him accepting the treatments, which he's even loving it. In parallel to all this situation, Marcella was able to reposition herself in her work. She works as a floral medicine therapist and is giving lectures, courses for teachers, parents, and caregivers of cases of autism, providing defensive response and biomedical diet. She also works as an engineer. She managed to develop an education system platform that is already free in various public schools in Chile and for some individuals. She can only thank God, Meishu-sama, for the miracles that are manifesting and her ancestors for looking kindly on their descendants. Marcella is grateful for having learned to fill all the corners of her house with flowers, and also to be able to offer to her ancestors the beautiful ikebanas that she learned to make. She also dedicates to cleaning her home, transforming it into a paradise-like place. Likewise, today she recognized the importance of eating products from the land and cultivation. Since she has her beloved aromatic plants, when she approaches them, she says thank you to the plants for their abundance. She feels that without a doubt, this spiritual path has allowed her soul to find a peace that in years she had not been able to achieve. As an expression of gratitude for this experience, she would like to learn how to channel Johrei to others. She has always believed that service is the basis of happiness, and that is how her father taught her. She wants to be able to give Johrei to her family. So, as we heard, Marcel is not a member yet and is going through the membership course to eventually become one and help others through Johrei. And another experience I would like to share with you this evening is from Kelly Higashi. She's from Bragança Paulista, Brazil. Kelly is 43 years old and she has been a member of our church for 4 years. Since childhood, she suffered from emotional problems. She was depressed, lived isolated, had many family conflicts, and spent weeks at a time locked in her room. She was a tough, inflexible, and intolerant person. She's a real estate broker and wasn't willing to work. She even stopped serving clients, which create financial difficulties for her. Kelly was introduced to Johrei in 2015 through the who had been operated on for intestinal cancer. She had the opportunity to witness his rapid recovery after receiving Johrei assistance. In October of the same year, she was at home very sad, remembered about Johrei, and decided to go to our church, where she was received by a missionary who, with great patience and love, assisted her for a year. Kelly became a member and started dedicating weekly to the channeling of Johrei, Mitama Migaki, which is the dedication of cleaning as a soul polishing, and being the MC at the morning services. Despite gaining strength with these dedications, her depressive picture oscillated. Due to these relapses, she took the decision to receive and channel Johrei for 30 consecutive days. With this practice, she was fine for a while, but her situation didn't hold steady. She practiced reading Meishu-sama's teachings and repeatedly heard guidance about the importance of dedicating ourselves to the salvation and happiness of others. However, Kelly didn't really commit to this practice. In 2019, she thought deeply about it and decided to commit to guiding others to our church through the channeling of Johrei and dissemination of the teachings of Meishu-sama. In this way, every time she realized that someone was suffering, she asked God to help her, lead them to a life of faith. She talked about our church, offered Johrei, and invited others to get to know the Johrei Center. With this practice, in 6 months, she received the permission to guide 16 people to the Johrei Center, of which 6 received the sacred focal point, or Hikari. Additionally, she began to say thank you more and complain less, and she tried to become a more tolerant and flexible person. Her life has changed. Her depressive symptoms subsided, and the conflicts with her husband were virtually eliminated. The relationship with her mother, who was emotionally a little distant, improved a lot. Kelly's mother visited our church, became a member, and now dedicates. Together they dedicate. Kelly's husband, her children, brother, and cousin also became Johrei members. At work, clients began to look for her services, bringing her good financial results. Currently, she no longer feels depressive symptoms. She lives in harmony with her family and has prospered daily in her professional life. Today, she is aware that the real mission of Johrei member is to bring salvation to others through Johrei in our practice of faith. In this way, we will also be happy because we receive light and spiritual elevation through the feeling of gratitude. Kelly is very grateful to God and Meishu-sama for all these miracles. Her commitment is to continue dedicating, doing her best in guiding others to the divine work. Thank you very much for listening to these inspiring faith experiences. This Sunday, we have our headquarters monthly appreciation service, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. If you live locally, you're more than welcome to attend in person, or feel free to join us through our YouTube channel, Miroku TV, or through Facebook. It will be a pleasure to have your presence. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful evening.
This brings our evening service. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Have a blessed evening.